Quran says creation after creation, He created in successive stages. That seems to go against the norm of societal understanding then. So that's impressive. So Quran is talking about something that is quite impressive during its time, because now we know this is the case. It wasn't the case then. When the Quran describes in detail, now if it describes, oh, it's a gastrula, it's a morula, it's a blastocyst, do you know what they are? Right. If I told you this is how the process is, you'll get confused yourself now in 21st century. Which day is it today? 5th of August 2018. You get confused if the Quran describes. So you would expect Allah to describe it in the Quran in a terms that people don't get confused, even on the 7th century. Yeah? So what are the descriptions?
It's still very vague.
No, that's the claim you're making. Let's deal with this subject. But I'm going to show you that it's not vague. Okay, let me allow to develop it. So when the Quran says that Allah created man from nutfa, the word nutfa is like something like a drop-like formation, drop-like. So whatever remains from the bucket, a drop. So if you have in your hair a lot of water and it's dribbling and dropping, that amount of drop, that's called the nutfa, right? A drop. So within itself, word nutfa, there seems to be a connotation of like a drop, something like a spherical appearance of it. And that's what we know of the first appearance of when the egg and the sperm meet and they start forming a fertilized product. Okay, that stage when the Quran alludes to it actually fits like this. This is what it is. It actually looks like a drop. So that is not vague, that is quite very precise. Now, can you actually see a human embryo when it's a drop-like stage? You can't see it. You need a microscope. So to call it it's like a very spherical drop-like stage is very precise, not vague, because you could have been something like this, elongated like this. You could have used the word like this, right? But it didn't use that. It used the word something like that, elongated like the shape of a leech in the step later. From this nutfa came alaqa, and alaqa is described something elsewhere like having the appearance of teeth marks. Mudgha later like a chewed substance. And this is what we see. I mean, these are like all microscopic. And then you can see that this formation of embryo, the appearance looks like that. So you are saying that this man may have been really a person just opening up babies, but you can't see them anyway if you even open up Karam. So the descriptions that are given, which in a layman's term, that oh yeah, it looks like a mark of a teeth there. This is how it looks like with somites. I'm giving you terms. Next time I should bring pictures, right? It will take time to put it up, but that's how they are. And then it says partly formed, partly unformed. And we know in one of those steps when it says this is when the hearts are developing, but the other parts are not. So exact stage of description when the human embryo goes into a formation where some of it is formed and some of it is forming. And this is what the Quran describes. And then how this is then becoming engulfed with flesh. So the bones are forming, and the clothes then engulf this bone. And this is what happens. You have the ligaments forming, and the muscles form and touch these ligaments, and muscles engulf and clothe the bones. And then it creates another creation after that, because what happens after that stage, the human beings straighten up from this very curved structure to very straight and so on, and development of everything else is like another creation. And this is how the Quran describes. So even though it's using terminology which is understood by a layperson and to a professor of embryology, the description is very precise. So Quran is not claiming that, oh, this is something a proof for itself. What the Quran is actually saying on those verses, you doubt that God will resurrect you in the day of resurrection? Consider this. He created you like this, and He will recreate you again. So He is showing that this is how He created you. Would it be difficult for Him to create again if He tells you this is how I've made it? Now we know this is how the human beings are actually developing within their womb of a mother in these processes. So if someone is able to describe that this is exactly how it's done, then I know that person clearly knows how he's done it. and he's going to do it again, showing the ability of God. So not to show somehow some people think, oh, God is teaching you science. No, God is addressing a particular argument. People are saying, what? When we are dead and rotten bones, we're going to resurrect to be again? God is saying, yes, even to the very tips of your fingers. Another argument provided. What's so special about the tips of your fingers?
That was used. That line was used to. That line was mentioned when people are in when people are in hell and stuff and they're burning, and they said that. I've heard that this is guy on YouTube who this is speaker on YouTube who said that the Quran predicted like pain receptors in fingers and stuff because when you're in hell, it says in the Quran that when the skin burns off, they'll make you more skin to make you feel the pain again. Like not only is that pretty like ridiculous in and of itself, like that's pretty cool in and of itself.
That's the whole idea. It's actually quite cruel, meaning it's a horrible punishment that we should avoid. That's the idea.
They get they can infer that like Quran predicted pain receptors from adding skin to make you feel pain again. But like if you hurt yourself, you can feel, anyone can feel this. If someone punched my arm or something, like grabbed my arm, so I know the hurt's there, right? You can identify where this thing is without knowledge of pain receptors. So there's no reason to believe that the Quran predicted pain receptors because you can obviously it's observable to any normal human being. If I'm punched in my leg and I feel my leg, that's pretty obvious. There's something there there's something in my leg where I've seen somebody punch or somebody kick or somebody do something to make me feel that there's something there. The Quran didn't predict something that wasn't there at that time.
What you're dealing with again, you're dealing with the strawman argument type argumentation. People making claims when they should be making claims. They're saying this is a prediction. And you're saying, but that doesn't look like a prediction, that means that's not. But leave all this aside, leave all the polemics that have been associated with these descriptions associated from the Bible, the Quran and so on. Let's look at the text itself. Quran is saying, when people are in hellfire being punished, what is happening? God will recreate the skin so that they feel the punishment. Right. Now you might find, maybe there's no reason for mentioning this, but actually now we understand and appreciate why this process is, because you might have someone who say, you know what, God burns my skin. Once I go into hellfire, I'm not going to feel pain again. That's it. He was going to outsmart God. God burns him in hellfire, and he says, look, and then you know what's going to happen? I will no longer feel any pain. Because once my skin is gone, I'm not going to feel any pain. No. Let's understand something. Let's forget the polemics, right? But let's understand the text of the Quran, how profound it's delivering its message with the evidence associated with it. Quran is saying God will punish those individuals who deserves to go to punishment in hellfire. He punishes them, and he says this is the mechanism of how he's going to punish them. Someone will say, look, suppose he wasn't like this and says, oh, God's going to punish me in hellfire, he's going to burn me. I'm not going to feel any pain. Someone will come up because they know that pain receptors are actually in the skin, right? Pain, pressure, touch, the sensory receptors that's there just underneath your skin. But what God is reminding them, and us too as well, that you can't outsmart God. When you go in hellfire, when your skin are burnt, you're not going to say that's the end of your feeling the suffering of pain. God will put new skin. As long as they are roasted through, you'll feel fresh skin. Again, this process happens. So you feel the constant pain because that's the punishment that people deserved. Okay? So what the Quran did here, it delivered the message and proved its message at the same time that pain will continue by this mechanism. So if somebody comes along and say, oh, this is about predicting our pain receptors, and then say, so this is not a prediction because it's common sense to know that, I would not go into that. I would say, look, it's amazing how the Quran, the author of the Quran, deals with people's thinking and thought processes where they think like, okay, I'm going to be punished and I'm not going to feel any pain. Even that is covered. Yeah. So the mechanism is illustrated there, so that people have no excuse in saying, "Oh, you know what? I'll have something there. Maybe I will enjoy my life." So you don't have to say this is a predictive power of anything, but at least it illustrates the Quran knows. The author of the Quran knows that the